This is the quintessential family hauler, now in its 4th generation. This is the new 2021 Kia Sorento. And instead of being the budget alternative to getting 7 seats, this is now swinging fast uppercuts to the likes of BMW and Land Rover. So we're here to check out why this has won a couple of industry awards as Car of the Year and let you know if you should buy one. Hey you, I notice you're not subscribed, but if you are, thank you so much. But if you're not, make sure you hit subscribe because you're missing out on a ton of upcoming reviews that are coming from us here at Product Review Cars. We're just getting started, so make sure you don't miss out. Hit that big red button and the notification bell so you don't miss an upload from your favorite Aussie car reviewer. So how much does a Kia Sorento cost? Well, you start the range off at $49,290 for the entry-level Kia Sorento if you just want the name and the space and some safety features. But if I can push you as close as you can to this one, which is the GT-Line diesel, you're looking at $67,290. Yes, a bit more of a jump, but the amount of tech you're getting in here and also the luxury fitments really make it worthwhile. So moving along the front is where you're gonna see Kia has toned up the outside of this car. It's got like a muscle bulge here on the bonnet, and then you've got some nice sharper LEDs and LED headlamps. You've also got real vents, which look kind of nice. You've got 20-inch wheels, which you gotta be careful, you might curb those on the side of the road if your kids are distracting you. You've also got some bright work here on the front fender and this little flick up here on the window belt line. Not a huge fan of that because I like the fact it's a big boxy 7-seat SUV and it should be unapologetically that. Not trying to pretend to be a bit sporty with these bits of chrome there and there. Where I do like the chrome, up here on the roof rails and down on the door sills. And then moving towards the back, these tail lights look like they're taken from the new Kia Telluride because they're in vertical in design. And unfortunately, we don't get that one here. It's one of my favorite Kia SUVs, but at least we get the cool looking tail lights. You have Sorento spelled across the back, and yes, it's 2021, so there are fake exhausts there. So let's talk boot space in the Kia Sorento. You've got a latch underneath the Sorento badge. Don't be me and try and fiddle along here and then give up and use the key all the time. It's below here, so it's not up near the badge. Hold that down, it's gonna open up automatic tailgate, which you can open and close with the key and also from inside. And here's a hypothetical amount of stuff. This is here to demonstrate how much space we have and also the fact it's just been raining, the camera gear is gonna stay inside the car. You've got 7 seats folded up, so 7 adults can sit in this car if they must. But we wanna show you all the boot space because here you're not gonna get much of it and you're really not gonna see much of the boot space. But it is a all right amount. It's better than some other cars in the past. You can actually fit a few backpacks in here, maybe 1 or 2. And then you've also got some underfloor storage at the very back, which gives you some places to put some dirtier items because it's like a hard plastic finish. And also for the cover that would normally go over the seats when they're not up. But since they're up, you have a place to store that cover, which is nice to see. Pull on these straps, they're not as complicated as the front ones. And you've got 616 litres of boot space. So your hypothetical stuff can be thrown a bit more forwards. And look, 616 litres is quite good. But then when it gets better is where you do the one-touch operation of the front seats. So to show you, there's 2 buttons on the side here. The right-hand side, let's start with that, can fold all the way flat. That's a flat low floor. The only issue is that there is a gap depending on how far backwards or forwards your seats have been sliding in the middle row, which can see small items like, say, this spray bottle just sort of disappear. And then if people don't know where it went, that's most likely where it went. That's definitely been the case in some 7-seater cars that I've grown up with. That's the hidden treasures little gap that you'll find there. Now, that's the issue that I have with this car. It's a 60-40 split, which means you're not gonna make the most of the 7 seats that are in here because you're left with a sort of tight 4-seater when you need to fit some more items through to the front and if you're not carrying 7 people. And it just means that middle person's gonna miss out on nice amenities that the outer seat gets, and you might get some complaints and fighting with siblings, because I know that's definitely the case if you have siblings, but it just means that they're gonna miss out on heated seats and a blind, which is a little bit annoying because having a 40-20-40 split would make more sense and allow stuff to pass through the middle. But in saying that, that middle seat is not that bad. Now you can fold down this again with a one-touch operation. And now watch your head on this because that can hurt if you slam your head too far back. And now you have 2,011 litres of boot space back here, which means your hypothetical stuff can go all the way to the back just like that. Jaw drop. This interior has all the technology, luxury fitments and build quality you would be hoping for a car that costs nearly $70,000, but will impress you that it costs less than that too. In here we have two screens. One's a 10.25 inch screen, which is already telling me that I should be turning on the engine for this. And the other one is a 12.3 inch display for the driver. This center screen we've seen on the likes of the Kia Stinger, and we'll be seeing it more on Hyundai and Kia products because it is a great screen and they love to incorporate it everywhere. It has things like maps, satellite navigation, and it also lets you know when speed cameras or bus lane cameras are popping up, which is kind of cool, but can be annoying on the daily commute if you keep coming across it because it's quite audible when it tells you that. You've got digital radio, and you've got obviously Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is all wired through. You've also got a custom button up here, which you can customize to whatever you'd like to jump to the quickest, which is a little star. I always like to put Apple CarPlay on that one. You've got a few options in here to also toggle the Bose audio system. It's called Bose Centerpoint, and basically the toggles for digital radio, and I believe it's on automatically for the Apple CarPlay, because on digital radio you can definitely tell the difference, and it changes from stereo to surround sound, which is really cool to make the most of these Bose speakers that are fitted to the car. You've also got a passenger talking radio communication system, which basically is what Kia likes to call passenger talk, and you tap on that and you can yell at the rugrats in the back seat to tell them to shut up, because it's got a microphone up the front that then sends your feed to the back seats so you don't have to yell in the car. I love this infotainment system, and it's one of my favorites in the industry because it's just so easy to navigate and it has everything you want. Jumping into this 12.3 inch display, this is the first time I've seen this in a Kia product, and it's really, really good. It's crisp, it's clear, it's got plenty of options for customizing the brightness. Even the blue light filter is built into here as well. You can toggle that in the settings. Dials are easy to read. You've also got a nice center screen for information like trip and other car information that can pop up there. And then the key thing here is when you put your indicator on, a camera feed pops up in your instrument cluster, and that's when you're gonna see your blind spot cameras, and it's really useful for, say, merging on tighter corners or just double checking that no one's in your blind spots when you're making a turn. So it's a really good feature. Although in the rain, which we've had plenty of this week, those cameras can get covered up with some water droplets, can be a bit annoying and actually be a bit more distracting than actually useful. But when it's dry and when the cameras don't have water droplets on them, it works great. In front of me is a heads-up display, and this thing is awesome. It's really good because it also tells you all of the information that you're seeing down the bottom, even blind spot information. So it'll warn you if someone's in your blind spot. It'll also see the speed signs around and tell you what the recommended speed limit is. It'll also change the speedo to orange if you're exceeding the speed limit, which is really good because it just takes that extra guesswork out of your head. I know keeping under the speed limit isn't much guesswork, but when you have kids in the back or you've got things in your mind, the last thing you need is a speeding ticket because you were distracted. So that's really nice and considerate that that's there. Other than that, the overall fit and finish in here is really good. There is a nice use of higher quality materials up on the doors and places you're going to be touching more often, and then nice harsh materials on the bottom where scuffs and shoes marks and all that will be easily wiped away. These seats are so nice. They are so comfortable. They're well adjusted. Both front seats get adjustment for lumbar and also your bolstering, which is really good. You can get nice and comfortable. You have a telescopic steering wheel here, which is also leather trimmed. I prefer this steering wheel. It feels a bit more premium than the one we had in the Stinger. You've also got paddles here. Don't know why you need them. This gearbox in automatic is like well equipped to handle everything. These paddles feel a little bit useless, but hey, they're there at least if you want to use them. The only thing I don't like are the headrests, because I really like the ones we had on the Stinger. I don't know why we could have those same pillowy type headrests on here, especially this costing more than the Stinger that we had, and also is meant to feel a bit more luxurious. These headrests aren't as comfortable as the ones that we had in the Stinger, which is a bit of a disappointment. You've got some climate controls here which do beep every time you turn them on and off, so it's a little bit annoying to engage with if you need to quickly touch a few items, but that's the only beeping is going to happen when you're changing the fan mode and occasionally when you're turning on AC. You can sync its dual zone up the front, which is really useful. You've got some interesting looking climate vents here. Moving down, you've got heated and cooled seats, which is great for summer with cooled seats. If you haven't tried them before, it's like air conditioning for your back and your bum, so it's really nice to have. Everyone knows what heated seats are, even have a heated steering wheel. Unless you're heading to the snow, which I assume Kia thinks a lot of families will in Australia in this, that will be useful, but most of the time the cooled seats will be on. Below that, you have a nice little gloss black cover. You press that down, and that reveals 3 USBs, one for Apple CarPlay, 2 for charging, and you've also got a wireless phone charger, which is really handy, and it just has a little indicator light to let you know if your phone's charging or not. So that's cool to see. And then say if you want the cabin to look a bit cleaner when you've got your Apple CarPlay cord tucked in, you can just tuck everything in there, close that, and it cleans up the entire center console here. You've got a rotary gear shifter, which feels like it's a note out of Land Rover's book. I am not against it, but I think I preferred the one in the Stinger again, but this does look premium and it does feel premium to use, and it's really easy to navigate without having to look down. You've got drive modes, which we'll test out later, and also terrain modes, which we will also test out later. You've got a center console here, extremely spacious with a nice little cubby here, so you can tell the kids to put the rubbish in here and then tip that in the bin. And then it's a really deep center console in here, lots of storage to be had. My only gripe here is that this doesn't fold back all the way. I like that in some Land Rover products where the center armrest will fold back all the way so kids can use it as like a table or whatever. That's a small thing, but it is funny that it only goes up to 90 degrees. But however, using what it's primarily meant to be used as an armrest is so comfortable. Now, I love the front seats, but the back seats is where it's at. Now, sitting in the back of the Kia Sorento, you're never gonna have anyone complain there's not enough space back here, because there is acres of it. Let's start off with the 60-40 split. It's important here because the seats slide forwards and backwards in a 60-40 split, so you have to bring this middle seat passenger with you if you decide to move forwards or backwards. You've also got backrests which tilt forwards, and they've also sort of got a very upright standard position, or you can sort of bring it into a bit more reasonable position, but then where we all like to have it is nice and reclined, so we can really make the most of the back space here. You've also got a big panoramic sunroof here, which does split open at the front, nice, so a bit more airflow. You've got 3 USBs back here. You've got 2 on the seats, which makes it considerate because that's where you're gonna be holding your tablet or phone. It's gonna be close to charging. Nice to see some logic when placing these USBs around. Some manufacturers don't do that. You've got a third one down here, and you've also got a 12-volt socket with 180 watts of power, just for a bit more juice. Now, sitting in this back left seat, it's great because if you're on the outer seats, you get heated seats, which is really sort of unheard of in most cars that cost less than $70,000. So what a nice addition that is. You've also got window blinds back here, which once you get the hang of them, a little bit fiddly, you can feel a bit more private back here and actually enjoy this space. And just, it's a really nice cabin from this back left seat especially. And the reason why the back left seat is most important is because Kia have left me some controls on the front passenger seat, which I can just tilt forwards and away. And I'm about to give myself more legroom than I've had in many other cars. And this certainly rivals the likes of a Range Rover Vogue autobiography. This is acres of space. And since Kia have raised up the seat for, I think, either for rear passenger feet room or for the cooled seats, it's ridiculous. This is unheard of in most cars, the amount of space you have back here, and just making sure we're in the full, making the most of the space back here. This is awesome, and this is luxury, I can tell you that much. Door cards, you have a nice cup holder, which is close to access, means that, you know, there's no reaching around, but if you do need to store additional items, you can put a water bottle just tucked into the door like that, or just have it sitting where it normally should be sitting. You have a center armrest which folds down, and yes, it can hold a decent sized water bottle as well. The only issue is that there's no ski pass through, which is sort of annoying because this is sort of the car I'd love to see go to the snow. And then if you don't have any sort of pass through for the center seat, it is just that tad bit annoying because that's what you want in a giant 7-seat SUV, but it's not there, but it's not the end of the world. That's okay, because this middle seat is really generous. Sitting in this middle seat, I've got okay amounts of feet room. I've got a size 11 feet and they're sort of just squeezing in between the space. So it means that kids are gonna be just fine sitting in the middle seat, and even some adults as well. And then it just means you have plenty of room to move around back here. Now, bringing this front seat all the way into its normal position, I'll just quickly show you what knee room, headroom, and sort of like arm room I've got here. So bringing this back to roughly where this front seat is, I've got ample amounts of knee room, and if I want to be in a more realistic seating position, say if we have people or more stuff in the back, bring this backrest up a bit, ample amounts of knee room, ample amounts of headroom. I'm 5'11", so this is plenty of space. I feel very comfortable in the back here as a full-size adult. That means kids are just gonna be laughing how much space they have back here. Or if you need to take some adults down to the snow, you'll be able to do it too. Okay, so sitting in the back seats, you have a one-touch operation to fold these seats forwards, which means that kids can easily jump into the back, making that less of a hassle for you. And then they can fold the seats back and then bring them back as far back as they want. Now, probably people in the front don't want to sit this far upright, so you can sort of bring the seats back to a reasonable position. Now, you can see here where the seats sort of come up where my knees are. It's going to be tight no matter how tall you are over, say, 5'6", it's going to be pretty tight. And then for 5'11", it's even tighter if the front passengers want a bit more leg room than, say, they're comfortable giving up. So you're going to be a bit tight on your knees, and also the fact that they're up near your chest, you're sort of crouching back here. My headroom's okay, but I feel a little bit closed in because these windows aren't as generous as the front ones are, certainly not, and they don't go down at all. And then you've also got the panoramic roof, which ended with the middle row. I'm not getting any of that light either, so it feels a bit dark back here, but that's okay because Kia's sort of giving me some amenities back here to make these short trips a little more bearable. I've got rear air control back here, which is really easy to dial up, and it gets really strong as well, so it means you're not going to suffocate back here. You've also got 2 additional USBs, which rounds the total amount of USBs in here to 8. Okay, and here's a piece of tech that I bet you haven't seen on many other cars. The only one I've seen it on is the Tesla Model 3, which is possibly one of the most technologically advanced cars we've tested. So here we go. You've probably heard of Smart Park before. If you haven't, here's this ad from the Super Bowl.
Look who's got Smart Pack.
Smart Pack?
Just hit the clicker, car packs itself.
Yeah, and I've got that one stuck in my head too, so I just have to call it Smart Park now. So we've got Smart Park, and what do you do with that? Well, you can start the engine remotely with the Kia Sorento, and using the key, you hit lock once, hit the sort of hold button with the semicircle, and that gets the engine started. Now, say if you're in a tight parking space, you don't really feel like squeezing in between cars, so all you do is you make sure you're nice and close to the car, and you have it forward or backwards direction for the Smart Park. And so, hold this button down to make it go forwards, for example. You hear the car get ready, and off it goes. So there it goes, and you can do this within a parking spot. It's not like the Tesla where it's limited by what sort of connection it has to your phone. You can do this in a deep underground car park, because you just have to be close to the key. And then, like that, you can bring the car forward and back out of a tight parking space. But what happens if someone walks behind your car while no one's in it? Well, first of all, it's gonna get a bit iffy, but say if I walk behind it, it gets nice and close, but it's never gonna get that close that it's gonna hit you. So it will be if, say, if a kid or a dog or someone walks behind your car while this is happening, you don't see it. And say if you don't see something or you do see something about to happen, you can just quickly let go of the key and the car will come to a stop just like that. And then just hold the engine off button and there you go, you're parked.
Quick and smart.
Now, how much is the Sorento going to cost you over the course of, say, 7 years? Well, there's the breakdown. That's year on year, and then up to 105,000 kilometers, they're going to cover you for a cap price service. Now, if you exceed 105,000 kilometers and you plan to keep this for a longer period of time than 105,000 kilometers, you're still at least covered up to 7 years and unlimited kilometers with your warranty. So that's a good peace of mind when you're buying this. And so just how safe is the 2021 Kia Sorento? Well, that's your list of standard safety equipment that you can find on this model. This scored a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, which is pretty good back in 2020. This drives and feels like a really safe car, with some key features being the 360-degree camera and front and rear cameras that pop up when you're parking. You've got autonomous emergency braking, which also gives you a warning if you're about to hit something. It's got blind spot cameras and monitoring, so it will let you know if someone's there, and also give you haptic feedback through the wheel, which you can toggle on and off if the car thinks you're about to hit someone in those blind spots. I may as well tell you what this is like to drive in tight city streets like this one. So it's fairly good. The Sorento is wide. That is something I do notice. It's not as wide as, say, a Land Rover Defender in terms of that being absolutely massive, but it is a big car. So that means you have to watch out for tighter laneways, and yes, you can automatically fold in your mirrors, but it's just a big car. And I think driving this, because this drives so well, I think a lot of people will forget that it's actually a massive car, because certainly I forget that it's so long until you see it when you step outside the car, because to be honest, the mirror does a good job of masking up how far that distance is between here and all the way in the back of the boot. Now, suspension around the city is all right, although the 20-inch wheels do provide a bit of a harder ride. I feel this is a more comfortable car when you need it to be. I've got it in comfort mode all the time, because that's the core purpose of the Sorento here, is to be a comfortable car. But these wheels do feel like they hamper the ride just a little bit. Turning circles are right, and in terms of the steering ratio, it's a little bit slow, but hey, it's fast enough for most people. Just means that a slow steering ratio means that you're going to be moving your hands a little bit more, where a fast one means, you know, a darty ride. So you don't really want a darty ride in a car that's meant to be a comfortable family hauler, so I sort of get it. That suspension's quite interesting, because when you cross a speed bump just like that one, the back sometimes likes to jump up just a few more times before it settles, which can be a bit of a weird sensation. And corners, yeah, stuff gets thrown around the back, but also it does an all right job of doing corners. It's fine. It's not gonna win Performance Car of the Year, and I love the fact that they've put paddles here to, as a suggest, hey, look, we can be sporty, but don't kid yourself, this isn't a sporty car. This is a family hauler, and it's comfortable, and that's okay, because that's what I really like it as. I like it as that unapologetic 7-seat SUV. All right, now we are definitely in the thick of it. This is coming up to peak hour traffic. We've got plenty of cars around us, and this will be a good test for the Sorento to see how it goes with its automatic driving features. So I'm gonna head up to the car in front, or I can even do it now. I'm gonna set the radar cruise, and I can set it up to the speed limit, which is 60 around this area, and I'm also gonna put on auto steer, so it's gonna read the lanes and send me in the right direction. So the car in front of me is slowing up. There's a big bus in front. Here we go, we start to slow. The brakes came on pretty heavy there, but the car read that car was slowing down, and it was quite comfortable. It's not obvious at all in here that the car is driving itself to passengers, although you're probably doing a bit more work because you're not quite used to it yet, but when you are, it's so comfortable. Cars merging in front can be interesting because sometimes the car misses that and starts to accelerate, makes you look a bit aggressive, but once someone's in front, the car does a good job of just navigating. Now, you can see the wheel sort of occasionally steering by itself. It will sort of find the edges of the lane and navigate within that, rather than being like the Tesla system, which navigated dead in the middle. And another thing as well is that the pickup isn't always lightning fast in the Sorento. It can be a little sluggish, so occasionally you have to jump in there and tap the accelerator to get going again. But overall, I'm super impressed with these autonomous features in the Sorento, because I was blown away when I saw that in the Tesla Model 3, but in here, oh, you're spoiled. You go for 67 grand, you're loving this. You're sitting in here going, I'm all right, I'm relaxed. And now we get a notification on the driver's display which says, use the switch here on the steering wheel to get going again, and I do, and here we go. Now, as I tried to explain in the other Kia review that I've done with the Stinger, is that sometimes it's, well, I mean, not sometimes, all the time, it's not good at judging whether or not you're about to go through a intersection. So you gotta be careful. If you're not paying attention, you might get stuck halfway through an intersection if the car's driving for you. Other than that, ultra comfortable. Love the traffic jam cruise control. And I wish more cars like this had it, because I'm gonna get very sick of other cars quickly when jumping into traffic just like this. All right, so I've brought this car out to our off-road proving grounds because I thought if you've got terrain modes, there's gotta be something to it. So luckily it's been raining a little bit, so hopefully it's a bit slippy and muddy, and that means we can use a mix of sand and mud modes, which we've got here in the terrain response system. So I'm just gonna chuck it into mud and get going. Things to note, there is a very low departure angle and ramp over angle, and pretty much every angle is really low because this car is definitely not designed to be living in the mud. It's meant to be living out the front of your house in the suburbs. But Kia gave us off-road drive modes. Turn off our parking sensors. Kia gave us off-road drive modes, so I'm gonna test them and just see how it handles off-road. So these drive modes aren't necessarily designed to go way off-roading. They're designed to be able to tackle roads just like this, which means that you can drive with comfort and send power to the right areas when you need it, and tell the car that you can with these terrain modes. So look, driving over slippier sections, there's big puddles on the road, the ground's all muddy, and the Kia is doing a fine job. It's doing an absolute fine job of distributing its power and being able to go through this terrain. Now, I'm having to be a lot more careful about where I place my wheels because look, it's got really average angles of departure and entry, so that can be a bit concerning. But look, 20-inch wheels, they're doing okay, especially for on-road tires. Maybe slap some hybrids on here if you've got a bit more terrain to throw at this, and you might be able to get through some stickier parts. And look, you could even probably put a 1-inch or 2-inch lift on this thing and really make it shine heading off-road and still have all these luxury features. But you will just have to take it a bit slow and let's be honest, these modes are here just to help you get through smoothly on these flatter sections of road rather than tackling the Rockies. Now let's hit some ruts. Whoa. There we go. The suspension likes to squat down a little bit, but it's giving you enough comfort there, like right now, to be able to sort of just ride through it. And the wheel's nice and steady. It's not too busy driving over these sections. It's really quite relaxed. Big sections of puddles are always interesting to drive over. And so that's been the 2021 Kia Sorento. So I'm just gonna say it outright, go and buy one of these if you're considering a 7-seat SUV, because for the price, the tech, the luxury features, the space, the looks, and the safety equipment, you're gonna find nothing else in this class that competes at this level at this price. It is so well priced in terms of all the features you get. Kia knows this, that it's definitely won some Car of the Year awards because of this as well. And look, additionally, you've got 7 years warranty and 7 years of cap price servicing up to 105,000 kilometers asterisk. But that's enough for most people. And then if you want to sell it in between there, that warranty is going to help with resale, I guarantee that. So I think this car represents the best version of a 7-seat SUV that you can buy on the market today. Big call, I know. There are some more luxurious models that you can buy north of $100,000 or close to there. But in terms of something that's going to give you the full package and cost you a little bit less, the Kia Sorento has it. Now, thank you so much for watching. My name's Cameron. You've just watched a ProductReview.com.au in-depth look. And remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell because it definitely helps our channel. And leave a like if you like this car. I love this car. So, I mean, if you do, make sure you let us know. But if you don't, or have an alternative to a 7-seat SUV, leave a comment below because I definitely want to hear those and would be curious to hear your thoughts on the 2021 Kia Sorento. Thank you so much for watching again. I'll see you in the next one.